Imagine this, you beat up 40 students single-handedly and get transferred to a new school as punishment, but it's no ordinary one. Here, the school is ruled by girls, and any boy who dares oppose them is tortured, beaten, and eventually suspended. Our protagonist, Nomura, finds himself in this very situation when he gets admission to this school. Our story begins with Nomura, who is just an ordinary Sigma male, who can beat up anyone with nothing but his bare hands, and despite his bad boy reputation, he still ends up winning the love and admiration of every girl in school, thanks to his infinite RIZZ. Watch this anime to find out how. If you're new to the channel, like the video and subscribe. Let's dive into the story. The story begins with the news of Nomura's admission spreading like wildfire. The girls in the academy, particularly a group of 5 dominant girls called the Supreme 5 Swords, are already planning how to handle him. This is a very traditional Japanese school where a group of 5 girls, known as Supreme 5 Swords, are allowed to carry swords in school. One of the girls named Rin warns the group that Nomura could be a threat for them and they must deal with him quickly. Nomura arrives at the academy and encounters Kujo, a boy wearing makeup to blend in with the girls. When Nomura mocks Kujo, he replies, "If you want to survive here, you'll need to do the same." Nomura brushes this off and heads to his class, only to find out a bunch of swords pointed at him and 5 girls waiting for him. They lay down the rules. He can either exist as a girl like the rest of the boys or leave the school. Nomura rejects both options like a Chad and then swiftly crossed Rin with amazingly fast speed, pokes his head, and after complimenting her personality, he jumps out of the window. Rin turns out to be more stubborn and she also jumps out chasing him. Nomura was thinking to himself, I need to do something about these girls as soon as possible. But before he could act, Rin, the leader of the girls, approached him and attacked with a sword. She declared, "If you want to stay here, you must obey us. Otherwise, you'll die." Nomura, however, had already deduced her weakness. Her energy would quickly deplete if she continued attacking relentlessly. As expected, Rin tired herself out, allowing Nomura to block her next strike. Even though she was exhausted, she landed a slash across Nomura's face. Nomura smirked and said, "I admit, you're strong. But now it's my turn." He took out a glove that nullified the effect of her sword and began blocking her attacks effortlessly, almost toying with her. The other girls watched intently. At one point, Nomura stumbled slightly, giving Rin an opening. She tried to exploit it, but her exhaustion caught up to her again. Nomura countered by placing his hand on her stomach and executing a spinning move that sent her flying. She collapsed, visibly weakened, yet still refused to accept defeat. As she attempted to pick up her sword again, Nomura stopped her, gently laying her down. He said, "Enough. It's over. Just give up." At that moment, Nomura's secretary arrived and misunderstood the situation. In her flustered state, she struck Nomura on the head, causing him to stumble and accidentally kiss Rin. The unexpected kiss generated so much shock that it shattered the secretary's mask. Later that night, Nomura, nursing an injured leg from an earlier encounter, talked to Kujo about a way to leave the school. Kujo explained, "You'll need to collect stamps from all the in-charge girls here," which meant getting approval from the 5 Supreme Swords. Once you have them, you're free to go. Determined, Nomura resolved to earn their stamps. The next day, Nomura brought a cake to improve his relationship with Rin. However, due to the previous day's events, the girls labeled him a kiss thief and yelled at him to leave. Despite their hostility, Nomura pressed on. Saki, one of the girls, confronted him, accusing him of doing something to Rin. Nomura denied the accusations, but Saki insisted, "She didn't come to school today. You must have done something." A blue-haired girl interjected, "She might just be unwell." Nomura seized the opportunity, saying, "Oh, she's sick? I'll go visit her with this cake." Meanwhile, Rin was at home, angrily venting her frustration on a pillow. She was flustered by the memory of her first kiss with Nomura and started planning ways to kill him if they met again. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Armed with her sword, she opened the door cautiously. But Nomura appeared on her window instead, surprising her. Rin attacked him immediately, but Nomura held his ground, saying, "I'm not here to fight. I brought you some sweets." Rin, caught off guard, started blushing but continued yelling at him. Nomura complimented her, saying, "Your anger is cute," which made her reluctantly stamp his card. Grateful, Nomura teased, "By the way, if you want, I can kiss you again." Overwhelmed, Rin fainted, still unwell. As Nomura tried to catch her, he accidentally grabbed her shirt, causing the buttons to pop off. Just then, Rin's assistant entered, misunderstood the scene, and triggered the security system. Nomura quickly escaped through the main door. While fleeing, he encountered Choka, the assistant to another girl. She threatened him with a whip, warning, "Obey me or you'll regret it." Soon, Nana joined the fray, ready to fight as well. Now facing two opponents, Nomura sighed. This doesn't seem fair. Despite some initial difficulty, Nomura analyzed their attack patterns and defeated them easily. Choka and Nana ended up collapsing on each other in a heap, looking worse for wear. Meanwhile, an unknown girl observed the fight from a distance. Nomura, feeling mischievous, said, "Maybe I should have some fun too." The onlookers immediately started whispering and imagining scandalous things about him. Laughing awkwardly, he added, "Relax, I was just joking." No need to get upset. Rin confronts Nomura later, giving him an intense stare. She declares, "From today, I'll be watching over you. I don't trust you, and I don't want you causing trouble for anyone else." Later, Nomura is having dinner with Kujo. He asks about the second sword he's supposed to deal with next. Kujo warns him, the second sword is much stronger. Her name is Mary, and you should tread carefully. But right now, your focus should be on Rin and Mary's assistant. You've crossed them, and they won't let that slide. You might be facing punishment soon. Nomura shrugged. We'll see about that. I heard there was a guy who managed to escape their punishment. Kujo clarified, it wasn't a guy, it was a girl named Ameo. She was so strong that she defeated them with her bare hands and left them in a terrible state. But, Nomura, you don't want to mess with her. She's on a different level. Hearing Ameo's name, Nomura froze. He remembered that someone expelled from the school had the same name. Could it be the same person? The next morning, Rin came to fetch Nomura, yelling his name outside his house. Annoyed, Nomura shouted back, "I'm coming. Stop yelling." He got ready and joined her. As Rin checked her books to ensure everything was in order, Mary and her assistant arrived. Mary smirked. "Rin, what are you doing helping him? This guy's bad news." Rin responded sternly, "Stay away from him. I've heard plenty of rumors about him, and that's why I'm keeping an eye on him. I won't let anyone else get hurt because of him." Mary laughed and started making wild accusations against Nomura. Frustrated, he sighed and said, "You can all keep fighting. I'm leaving." As Nomura tried to walk away, Choka stopped him. "You're not going anywhere," she said. "You'll pay for what you did yesterday." A chaotic fight broke out between Nomura, Choka, Mary, and Rin. Choka wielded her whip, forcing Nomura to pull out his belt to counter her attacks. During the scuffle, his pants dropped and his leg was exposed, and Choka, misunderstanding the situation, fainted in embarrassment. As the fight continued, Nomura's eyes caught sight of Ameo watching from a distance. He shouted, "So, I finally found you. I've been looking for you to settle things." Mary noticed Nomura's exposed leg and assumed the worst, especially after seeing Choka unconscious. Furious, she charged at Nomura, accusing him of wrongdoing. Nomura, however, wasn't interested in Mary's accusations. His focus was entirely on Ameo, who had already left the scene. The scene shifts to Ameo sitting alone, reflecting on her past encounter with Nomura. "He managed to defeat all my subordinates back then," she muttered. "But I still don't understand why I couldn't kill him. I had the chance but held back. If I face him again, I won't hesitate." Back at the fight, Nomura and Mary were locked in an intense battle. Mary skillfully wielded her sword, while Nomura used his gloves to block her strikes. At one point, Mary's sword slashed his glove, drawing blood. "Not bad," Nomura admitted. "But you won't defeat me." Mary retorted, "You might as well surrender now. You don't stand a chance against me." Nomura smirked. "We'll see about that," he said, continuing to dodge her relentless attacks, determined not to back down. Nomura was locked in a fierce battle with Mary. Despite his best efforts, her swordsmanship was overwhelming. Meanwhile, the scene shifted to Rin, who had found Choka recovering nearby. Rin demanded to know which way Nomura had gone, and although Choka pointed her in a direction, it was the wrong one, intentionally misleading her. Back at the battlefield, Mary was overpowering Nomura. She sensed he was nearing his limit, but Nomura, unwilling to back down, charged at her with renewed determination. Mary, frustrated and desperate, thrust her sword straight at his stomach. To her shock, the blade was stopped, not by his body, but by a hidden manga tucked under his shirt. "Why on earth would you keep a manga there?" Mary exclaimed. Nomura quipped, "It's a lifesaver." Taking advantage of her momentary distraction, Nomura launched his signature speed bullet attack. The quick strike landed perfectly, and Mary was defeated. However, she suddenly recalled stories about Namura's supposed obscene acts with his past opponents he defeated and began to panic. What are you going to do to me?" she asked nervously, backing away. Namura, utterly confused, replied, "Do to you? Nothing. Just give me your stamp and I'll be on my way." Mary, misinterpreting his indifference, felt insulted. "What, am I not even worth doing anything to?" Namura maintained his composure. "I'm not that kind of guy," he said firmly. At this moment, Rin arrived on the scene. Seeing Namura with a defeated Mary, she once again jumped to the wrong conclusion. "You're at it again, aren't you?" she shouted, ready to attack. But Mary stepped in to defend him. "Stop, Rin. He's not who you think he is." Rin glared at her. "Why are you protecting him?" Mary replied, "For the same reason you are. I was watching over him because I didn't want him to harm anyone. Now I know he's not the kind of person we thought he was." Namura sighed, thinking, "What kind of mess have I gotten myself into now?" Mary agreed to give him her stamp only on condition that she would also supervise him just like Rin. The scene shifts to Namura having lunch on the school terrace. Just as he was beginning to enjoy some peace, a new challenge emerged. Waragi, the third member of the sword group, had returned from her vacation. Accompanied by her black bear, Waragi wasted no time stirring up trouble. She had already heard about Namura's encounters with Rin and Mary, as well as the growing rumors surrounding him. Meeting with Sato, the fourth member of the sword, Waragi declared, "This boy needs to face proper punishment. He's already entangled with two of us, so we cannot let him off the hook." Sato hesitated. "Is that really necessary?" "Of course it is," Waragi insisted. "We have to maintain fairness. No one is above the rules." Soon after, Waragi set a trap for Namura by capturing his friend Kujo. She tied Kujo to a cross and hung him in the academy courtyard, ensuring everyone in the school knew about it. When Namura arrived to check on his friend, Kujo weakly warned him, "It's a trap. Don't go any further." But Waragi stepped forward, taunting Namura. "If you want to save your friend and earn my stamp, you'll have to defeat me in a fight. Do you have what it takes?" Waragi then launched into a dramatic monologue about her Rima's story, throwing wild accusations at both Mary and Rin for betraying the sword's principles. Rin tried to explain, "You've misunderstood. We're only watching over him to ensure he doesn't cause trouble." Waragi scoffed. "And you think that excuses you from your duty? You're as guilty as he is, Rin. Both of you deserve punishment." Taking things a step further, Waragi set up a sumo ring. She announced, "You'll face me here. If all three of you, Namura, Rin, and Mary, can win against me, I'll spare you and your friend. If not, your punishment will be doubled." Reluctantly, Mary and Rin agreed to join Namura in the fight. The competition was heating up, and Waragi declared, "The fight is between us. There's no need to involve anyone else." Namura accepted her terms, donning the sumo belt. He confidently said, "Let's start the fight." The fight was being broadcast live across the academy. Students gathered everywhere to watch the showdown. Namura entered the ring, scanning the area for his opponent. He expected one of the three challengers to step forward, but instead, a massive bear leaped down with a powerful kick that sent shockwaves through the arena. Namura froze momentarily, startled by the bear's presence. "What's with this school and these ridiculous challenges?" he muttered. Despite the intimidation, Namura steeled himself and launched the first attack. His punches landed solidly, but the bear's thick hide absorbed the blows effortlessly. Namura then used his spin bullet attack repeatedly, but it was ineffective. The bear retaliated with heavy strikes, forcing Namura to dodge and counter. Seeing the futility of direct attacks, Namura shifted tactics. With incredible strength and determination, he lifted the bear off the ground, shocking the audience. The scene flashed back to Namura's childhood, showing how he trained with sumo wrestlers, often lifting heavy weights. But this bear was not only massive but also wildly thrashing, making it nearly impossible for Namura to hold on. Struggling, he managed to slide the bear across the ring and cleverly untied its belt mid-grapple. The bear, startled and embarrassed, retreated, leaving Namura victorious. Waragi, however, was not impressed. She smirked and declared, "If you have the guts, meet me on the rooftop. No help, no shortcuts. Only then will I recognize you as the winner." Namura accepted the challenge, but there was a twist. Waragi had stationed 100 subordinates throughout the academy to stop him from reaching the rooftop. Rin and Mary offered to support Namura, though they hesitated at first. Nomura assured them, "We'll do this together. But first, we'll need to remove these belts." Using the chaos to their advantage, Nomura, Rin, and Mary reached the rooftop. Waragi stood waiting, grinning as they arrived. "Oh, so you made it this far," Waragi sneered. She motioned to her bear companion, who was now prepared for a rematch. Nomura stepped forward to face the bear again, while Rin and Mary each confronted their respective opponents. The fights were intense. Waragi's bear, now showcasing boxing techniques, delivered devastating punches to Nomura. Despite taking several hits, Nomura refused to back down. Rin, on the other hand, was struggling against Waragi herself. Mary was also finding it difficult to keep up with her opponent's relentless attacks. The tide seemed to turn against Nomura's team, but they refused to give up, pushing themselves to their limits. The battle raged on, with Nomura using every ounce of his strength to fight the bear while his teammates fought valiantly. Though the odds were stacked against them, their determination to overcome Waragi's challenge only grew stronger. Nomura knew that if the fight continued at this intensity, he wouldn't last long. Determined to rally his team, Nomura turned to Rin and Mary. "Thank you for everything you've done for me so far," he said earnestly. Hearing his heartfelt words, both girls felt a surge of motivation. Inspired, Rin launched a powerful attack, which greatly weakened her opponent. Meanwhile, Nomura identified the bear's weak point and delivered a decisive punch, finally defeating it. With the bear down, the only remaining fight was between Rin and Waragi. Rin, using her destructive energy, successfully defeated Waragi. With the battle won, Nomura's team emerged victorious. Later, Rin found herself reflecting on Nomura's earlier words. He had mentioned how much he liked her broken mask and found it cute. Inspired by his comment, she decided to alter her mask to reveal more of her face, hoping to impress him. Meanwhile, Mary, wanting to stand out as well, wore her favorite perfume, knowing it was Nomura's preferred scent. The next day, Nomura arrived at school accompanied by Rin and Mary. Word of his victories over 3 members of the Swords had spread, and he had become the center of attention. Girls throughout the academy were captivated by him, whispering and staring as he walked by. However, Nomura wasn't thrilled about the sudden popularity. He slouched lazily in his seat during class, trying to ignore the attention. This didn't sit well with Rin and Mary, who were clearly annoyed by all the girls fawning over him. During the lesson, Rin noticed Nomura's inattentiveness and, frustrated, kicked his desk. "Pay attention to the lesson," she scolded. Nomura, oblivious to her frustration, barely reacted. He hadn't noticed Rin's updated mask or Mary's new perfume, which only made the girls more irritated. At lunch, Rin and Mary sat together in the cafeteria, both stewing in frustration. "When is he going to notice?" Mary muttered. Rin nodded in agreement, glaring at Nomura. Nomura, confused by their behavior, finally asked, "What's wrong with you two? Will you just tell me already?" Instead of explaining, the two girls lightly smacked him in annoyance before storming off. Nomura, left scratching his head, shrugged and went home. That evening, Nomura was having dinner with Kujo when he sensed someone lurking nearby. Although Kujo didn't notice anything, Nomura remained alert. However, he decided not to mention it and went to bed without saying a word. The following morning, Nomura met up with Rin and Mary on their way to school. While walking, he casually remarked, "Rin, you're not wearing your old mask anymore." Then, turning to Mary, he added, "And you've switched perfumes, haven't you?" Both girls froze, realizing that Nomura had noticed their efforts the previous day. Their frustration turned to surprise and a hint of happiness. However, before they could dwell on it, their moment was interrupted by an unexpected turn of events. That's it for part 1, guys, and more to be revealed in part 2. For part 2, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And check out the suggested videos in the end screen. See you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.